Good morning, Rosemary. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you and do our monthly reading. And today we're going to be exploring the topic of power within our Step into Your Authentic Self yearly theme that we've picked for 2025. And it's filled with insights and great prompts to work with. So let's get us started.
Sounds
If
like a good plan. I'm excited. I'm still a little froggy because I'm not totally awake yet. So if I zone out, just like pick up your horn and blow it at me to wake me up.
All right, so we are using some of our decks, and we are using some other people's decks to create the reading. So this is kind of the overall display of cards that we'll be talking about. And excuse me, I am Carole Funk. I am an integrative metaphysical practitioner. Got a lot of different modalities under my belt and certification and studies. Guided by passion for purposeful transformation, I'm really wanting to create soul-centered tools and transformative tools and experiences that awaken potential and support multisensory growth. Through private and group sessions, I hope to offer a nurturing space for conscious evolution. I call myself a facilitator of consciousness shift. And
Yeah, which is true. You do that. That's definitely a good moniker for you.
my offerings include, sessions, healing sessions, and as well as past life card readings and mini healing sessions that are tied together, and hopefully to deepen your awareness, reduce energetic imprints, and empower your path forward. So this is why I'm here, and this is what we're doing. And here's Rosemary.
I'm Rosie. I'm Rosemary, Nevada. I'm a psychic medium. Um, I love connecting with the whole spectrum of energies that and beings that are out there and in here. I mean, we're all in the same place anyway, we just don't read it like that. So I talk to people who don't live in their skins anymore. I talk to critters that don't live in their skins and do live in their skins. And my hope is always to offer insights and healing and guidance to people from beyond the veil. That's my goal. That's my passion. I do direct readings, which is just where I sit down and step into your energy and pick up my team, my spirit team. I call them my peeps. Download information, and I just become the vocal cords and the conduit. I love using divination systems and tools. Tarot and oracle decks are among my favorites. Um, I do private sessions, I do space clearing. My goal is always to create sacred containers, sacred space, so that you can help find your energetic alignment, and I can help provide support on all levels, hopefully on a soul level, because that's what we're here to do. We're here as souls to evolve. Gifts, it comes from deep from my heart, being of service to others, to empower and help them transform and be a witness to their transformation. And they're finding their clarity and connecting with themselves and with spirit more deeply. That's just my what I love to do. So here I am.
You're good at it. So I encourage people to experience your talents.
Thank you. Right back to you.
Thank you. So we are going to be introducing a 7 days card spread that we've created using seven different oracle and tarot decks to answer each question. So these are a display of our decks. So we have five that we work with. Today we're only going to be using we're going to be using four out of five. So, and the topic is power. So let's move on to the first topic. So the question that we posed in our card spread is, where am I giving my power away? Because that's a common, um, that's what we mostly do, right? We give our power away, and sometimes we're not consciously aware of it. So our question is, where am I giving my power away? And then the card that got pulled is, I am establishing boundaries. And this is from our I am an oracle card, oracle deck here. Did you want to start, or do you want me to start?
You go ahead and start. You're already beginning. I'll jump in with the next one.
So this is the message is, I empower myself by establishing healthy boundaries for my well-being and self-respect. And I always have a question on the I am oracle, which is, in which areas of your life do you feel the need to establish healthy boundaries? And I know for myself, I was clueless of boundaries. It's like I let people step over me and said yes to everything. And then I had to really look at also the why behind my yes, because that was a defining moment for myself. So, because of low self-esteem, because of low self-worth, I was even giving my chair away if, so no boundaries whatsoever.
I get it. Boundaries are really hard when you grow up in a household that's traumatizing and your parents walk all over you and have no boundaries for themselves or their behaviors. That's what they model for you. And that's what you take on. And a lot of times it's a survival skill because if you if you feel unsafe, you acquiesce constantly because it's the only way to make sure you're not in danger. But ironically, when you don't set boundaries, you're in danger.
Well, and I also had to look at, growing up in the service industry.
Hmm.
That is also an important role, because if you're always in the role of serving, you don't necessarily put yourself on that list of,
Right.
so it's like the customer is always right, or you have to fulfill the customer's demands no matter what. So that a little bit takes away some of your power as well, because you got to take it. Whatever comes
Exactly.
back to you, you got to take it. So I thought it was really interesting for me to look at, the influences of being growing up in the service industry, and how that also influenced the lack of boundaries, because
Yeah, that makes sense. Gosh, I never thought about that. I never
yeah,
thought about that. And that's so true. Uh, that's brilliant. Being in the
thank you.
service industry, the customer is always right, and I am here to serve you. And servitude, which is the same thing as slavery, there are no boundaries for the person of service in the slave because they're slaves.
Right,
So, wow, that's I never put those. That's an epiphany for me. I mean, I knew that that's
right.
how you grew up, but it never dawned on me that, of course, that would influence your view on boundaries, lack on that lack thereof, because you weren't allowed to have boundaries because of the work you were in.
Part of it, yeah. And
No
then I
boundaries, yeah.
got ingrained into the business very early on. So
Oh, yeah,
so
you were a little kid.
right. So it's like, you're at someone's disposal all the time,
At
24/7.
someone's mercy all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So live and learn.
Live and learn. Yep. Golly. I
Let's see, what do we have for day two? So
think that's a consciousness deck, right?
yes. So
Yeah.
we can
So
move that now. So
this
yeah.
is our consciousness deck. I love this image so much. It looks like the universe inside someone's head. It's amazing. So the card that what was the
Hold on.
question for that,
Yes,
Carole?
exactly. Let me read the question. So the question is, what limiting belief blocks me from owning my power?
That's a really good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. So the card that came up, look at this image. Isn't this fantastic? I love this image. The card that came up is a card called Fast. And all of these cards begin with the phrase, I love our decks because we don't have a guidebook. We have the A side is the image, which they speak. They're in solaristry art. And then the actual message is on the back. So if you are grabbing coffee and you don't have time to pull your card and read it, you pull it, you stick it in your purse and you take it with you. You can read it and see how your day's going to go. So facet work is all of these cards begin with the phrase, I am grateful for. So important to live in gratitude. It changes the way you view everything. So setting power, setting boundaries and working with power, doing facet work, you empower yourself by, I am grateful for the understanding of the role I have played throughout many lifetimes, acknowledging and learning to balance my light and shadow, provide lessons for my evolution as I move into my true power by embracing all facets of my being. I welcome all forms of forgiveness. I find my center. Such a powerful message. Um, wow. It's a card about acceptance. You do facet work, shadow work, work with your light, work with your dark to empower yourself by accepting yourself. It's amazing.
I think it's important to talk about the all the roles that we assume, you know,
Yes,
because we it's a flip coin, you know, maybe one lifetime you're the abuser and then you're the victim. You know, you play all these roles, the master and the servant, and until you have this awakening or this the really the desire, the need to go open up to your spiritual um, path, I guess, to start your spiritual path, however it shows up in your life. You know, sometimes we're dormant, and until we awaken, it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute, you know, this hasn't been working.
yeah, it's so interesting. I like how you brought up the fact that we play all the roles. We've been everything. Because we've been through so many lifetimes. And even just in one lifetime, you can be the perpetrator, you can be the victim, and you can be the hero. We switch roles all the time
Mhm.
within a lifetime. Um, the key is being aware.
Right.
The key is being aware. So yeah.
I think that's for us when we got together to start doing all the decks and stuff like that. This was a primary intention, is to really bring self-awareness, to really create tools that help you understand who you are, because then once we get to know ourselves more and more, we can shift and we can um, become better human beings, right?
Right, because you can't work with what you don't acknowledge and what you don't know. So, and I know your personal experience is the same with that, is that oracle cards are, or any kind of an oracle is a good support system.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, that was my intention behind creating them, is because in my own experience, excuse me, I used one deck and that really helped me get up in the morning and shift my day. So I wanted to be able to create that for others as well. So, and I think most of our decks is about shadow work in some ways, you know, and then creating that expansion. And I think the crystal deck is more of the support, and then the the guidance, that just reminders. Um,
Right.
so
When you need a message
yeah.
to come through, that's a support message. It's a crystal deck you want to use. I still use every single day. I use the I am deck. It's an affirmation deck.
Mm.
And I pull an I am card every morning with my coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet, so I haven't pulled my card yet. As soon as we finish our thing here, I'm gonna go get my coffee and pull my card. It's a great way to start the day.
So now we move on to um
Day three.
well, hold on, let me just I just want to kind of read what you wrote in the reading a little bit, and
Oh,
maybe we could
okay.
expand on that.
Okay.
So you said, we play all the roles, the victim, the perpetrator, the savior. This impacts on beliefs from which we may create self-aggrandizement, may cause one to feel like a victim or pull one toward playing the role of the hero, saving the victim. All these experiences create dynamics with your personal sense of power. So,
Hmm.
we could be, as the perpetrator, we could feel like we own the power, and then as the
We're in
victim we are the
control.
powerless. So uh,
Yeah,
it's about finding that balance, which is
right.
of just kind of like we talked about the servitude, and so for me it's a seesaw of servitude and selflessness, and where is my middle ground and
Yeah,
in
where's
the
the fulcrum? Where's the fulcrum? Where's the tipping point, and how do you find the
right.
balance? Yeah,
It's all about finding the center, and I think the as we've been stepping into your authentic self, that's a form of empowerment, and the facet work is really important to look to do, because um you may not like something about you, but it's being reflected by someone else. As someone else is acting as a mirror. You got to start asking the questions behind it. So
absolutely. Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
um I just want and you said, whether real or perceived, your beliefs can shift the flow and manifestation of your power. So it really also is
I
about
said
the
that.
belief. You wrote that, yes. Hmm.
Wow. See, that's what happens when I work. It's not me, Carol. It just comes in and then it goes out. I'm just a conduit.
Right,
And so I rarely remember readings, rarely. When I work one-on-one with a client, I tell them if you have any questions after we finish, you need to call me within 15 or 20 minutes because the connection dissolves and I will not remember anything I said to you.
right, right. Yeah. So I love that, is because, the beliefs that we hold about ourselves can be
Absolutely.
can be distorted because
Absolutely.
of the roles that we've played, because of the experiences that we've had. And so really taking a good look at ourselves through all and through a neutrality lens, through an observer lens, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're taught who we are by our family of origin, by the things they say to us, by what they tell us about ourselves, by the way they treat us. They define who we are. And because we're children, we internalize that and we believe it. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's bald-faced lies,
Right.
because if you have wounded, broken parents teaching you that you're worthless because they're projecting their wounds onto you, you're sort of doomed and powerless to do anything about it. So your job as you mature is to figure out your truths and discount the negative things they said to you about you and rediscover who you really are. Warts and all, the good stuff, the bad stuff, all of it. But you need to figure out who you are, not based on what your parents told you about what they projected on you from their own dysfunctional childhoods.
It's not just parents, it's
No, it's
it's
not
it's
just
it's
parents.
yeah, it's teachers also. It's
It's
I've
life
had it.
experiences.
Yeah, I've had experiences, my teachers telling me I'm stupid because I missed 3 months of school because my parents moved to the United States. And at the end of the day, I'm called stupid.
And you're anything but, yeah. And no
So
teacher should ever say that. No teacher should ever say that.
you would think that.
Yeah. Was it a high
You would hope so.
school?
It was,
Was it
yeah, it was high school. It
high
was high
school
school.
teachers don't teach the child, they teach the subject. Elementary teachers teach. If you ask an elementary teacher, what do you do? Oh, I teach 6-year-olds. I teach first grade. They teach the child. You ask a high school teacher, what do you do? I'm a math teacher. They
Right.
don't teach the children, they teach their subject of expertise, and it dehumanizes it. They figure you're young adults and you should be able to cope and do everything that they expect, even though you're still really young. You're a teenager, but yeah. So high school is a very different experience. Of course,
Yeah.
right now all education is sort of screwy. Um, yeah, we've got some systems that, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our third day or third card. So the question for this one is from the in the past, have I misunderstood my power? And it's from the Akashic Tarot. Oh, I forgot to take the book out. So let me pull
Oh
that
yeah,
out.
you'll need the, I'm glad you're doing this one because the print in this is written in like a rust color and it's hard to read and it's tiny. So I'm glad you're reading it. I'm glad you're doing it.
So the card is will, wisdom, and mind. And it looks like a Trinity symbol, right?
Hmm.
So upright, it says a gold crown of power and authority rests above a Celtic Trinity knot. On either side of the Celtic knot are the alchemical symbols for fire and water. Below is the ancient three-legged symbol of the coat of arms from the Isle of Man. This card brings with it a time of enormous power, balance, and expression. The first three rays, or the energies of the divine, move within you equally: power and will, love and wisdom, and intellect or mind. You're working intimately, even if you're not conscious of it, with the ascended masters who are linked to these energies. With the participation of the masters, you can raise your focus to a higher power and purpose. You can combine the fire of creativity with the water of receptivity in order to make your contribution to the world. With the gold crown raised high, you're likely to find yourself in a significant position of authority and influence at this time. It is likely to be a phase of great activity, but you can handle it. With these powers in play, you're able to discipline yourself to bring together the meditation, creativity, rest, and action required. Take advantage of this time and use these powers well. They are nothing less than the divine forces moving through you so that you can manifest their power in the world. So, for me, one of the interesting every year at the beginning of the year I do a like a white stone ceremony, which is but I do it in different form. Like sometimes one of the word will come as I'm walking in nature, and then the word just pops. So I'm not necessarily doing the it's the concept of the white stone ceremony is to find your word for the year. And one year I had to put willingness. That was my word. When the will, we have a will, but I feel like the willingness is more powerful than the will, because sometimes we just have to push a little bit, and not necessarily push in like forcing things, but mm, nudge ourselves to do more, to become who we're meant to be. And by embracing all the facets of you, you know who you are from a blueprint design point of view, right? If you're really looking at your astrology, or if you're looking at the numerology, those are great points to start understanding how you've been programmed as you got into this body, right? Because it's very defining. So,
Yes, it
so,
is.
so,
It's also very limiting because there's so many things by coming into this form that don't make it in. That's why we come here. It's a great place to come to learn
right.
because you leave a lot of your wisdom behind. We're spirits having a physical experience, and we leave a lot of wisdom behind when we come in because we're these three-dimensional, wonderful chalices that we live in, these vessels that we live in, do have limitations. And
Right.
so we come in with limitations.
Well, but I think it's interesting because we're here to learn.
Yes, absolutely.
However, once we awaken, it's almost like we have to unlearn what we've
That's exactly right. So we have a chance to revisit it.
right.
Because if we
So
remember it, we already know it. Why would we go back?
so I think that's within the mind. The mind to me plays out the ego,
Yes.
and then the wisdom is through that awakening. So it's kind of like, am I willing to look to get wise and drop the ego? It's the way I'm
Exactly.
reading it here.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to see that. Yeah, because you do have to, because the ego's job is to protect you.
It
It
plays
takes on
tricks
the
on
role of,
us.
yeah, well, it's connected to your subconscious, and your subconscious job is to help you survive, and the ego protects you by what it gets fed through the subconscious. A lot of it is irrational, doesn't make any sense. Well, it helps us or causes us to perceive threats where there are none. It's kind of conditioning. So it's so interesting. What a great space to be to learn, right? And to discover and take on your power and hopefully gain some wisdom along with the knowledge.
I don't know if I showed the box. This is the
Oh, I
Akashic
did.
Carole.
Yeah,
Okay, you did.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting, but it's also for me. I don't really know much about the Celtic knot, so I don't really know that. But if we can call on the ascended masters to help us. What are we willing to do, and what wisdom do we need in this moment? And open our minds. I think it's about that openness of mind so that we don't keep ourselves limited and restricted. So,
Exactly right. Take
okay.
on our power, take back our power.
So let's move on to day 4. So day 4 is the question is, how can I reclaim power from people or situations that drain me? So
Deck
the
that we used was this is the crystal deck.
yes. And
And
the card is gold. And you have the
yeah,
floor, Rosie.
yeah, I am gold. So all of these cards come from the standpoint that each stone, each crystal, in some cases, metals, in this case, it's gold, voiced a message to a support message shared that was shared to help us navigate what's going on. So every single card starts with I am, and then the name of the stone or the metal. I am gold, voicing a message of the need of strong communication with all that is the source of all being. So tap into your golden power within, recognize your connection to spirit, see that you are spirit, spirit is you. Know you are connected to the universal wellspring of knowledge. Dip your drinking gourd into the well and drink deeply of the information. Your communication is opened. Understand that you are the master healer. And as healing, all healing is self healing. So I think that in this case, communication is empowering and self healing.
And I love the idea of that wellspring, the wellspring of knowledge, and dip into your
Yeah,
drinking gourd into the well and drink deeply of the information. I think that's just to me, it's i-
yeah,
once we recognize that we have that well, we
yeah,
just need to tap into it. It's and and I love the golden power because it's to me it reminds me of the light within, you know, the
yes,
And then,
Yes,
and to me, gold is strong. It's got value, so it's almost like a reflection of who we are, you know.
yeah. Yes. I thought that was a really good, a really good card that came up for that question.
Let me see if there's anything here that we want to create, talk about. Um, so yeah, so you in the reading, you went into the healing and self, all healing is self-healing, and to heal you must go to the cause. A lot of times we don't go to the root cause of a symptom, and a lot of it is, I know with my studies and certifications and all that, it's a lot of it is from emotional. The physical is from emotional source,
Right.
and or is attached to emotions. So, really understanding who we are and looking at that lens of trying to find the root of the cause of the problem, um, I think is an important way to understand there's more to the physical aspect. And then in order to heal, we have to be observant.
Exactly.
So, and let me see what you said something about. Um, let's talk also a little bit about um, okay, let's see, what starts with the cause. The perceived cause is people and situations. The question is also asking how to reclaim power. So, there's such a thing like, I think I forgot, Christian Northrup. She wrote the book,
Oh,
and
Christiane Northrup. Yeah.
yeah, Energy Vampires, and I read the
Yeah.
book, and it's really interesting because it's like, oh my God, this person is exactly this. Didn't
Yeah.
realize it
Yeah.
then. So we have to pay attention to what our surrounding, what experiences we're calling in, so that we can be, and then it brings back to the first card, which is establishing the boundaries. And then as you know yourself, which is the second card, facet work, it's clear your boundaries get clearer as you know yourself because you recognize those energy
Right. Exactly.
or those situations
Exactly.
where you have no business being into, but for some reason you get pulled into because of peer pressure, or and that feels powerless, the peer
And
pressure.
because you gave your power away. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just got a little loop here created with
Yeah.
the cards. So
It's all loopy. It all loops back on itself.
I love how it always works out this way. So day
It's so
five.
interesting.
Day five is, I actually messed up. Well, no, here. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. So day five is, the question is, where in my life am I standing in my power? And the card came from the I Am a Manifestor Oracle. And the card is Eternal Flow. And each of the card in the Manifestor Oracle starts out with, for the purpose of manifesting my soul's desires. So, eternal flow. For the purpose of manifesting my soul's desires, I bridge the connection with my physical and subtle bodies to be in the eternal flow of the abundance of the universe. As I balance my multi bodies, I access my personal power, self confidence, and self reliance. I am decisive and take responsibility for my choices and actions. I am the vibrational match to manifest that which is for my highest good and the good of all. I love this card because of it brings back to the awareness that we have the physical body, but we also have all of those subtle bodies that act and activate our senses. So,
Exactly.
so it's, as we as we know ourselves, and if we look at doing the facet work through a multidimensional lens or a spiritual being lens, then we get to experience those subtleties, and the more we attune, Gold talks about self-healing is the more attuned you are to your physical body, to the physical vessel, those subtleties becomes you become so attuned and have acute reading of what is being created, that you can almost predict. I don't want to say predict, but foresee, I think, is the a better word, or sense the
Yeah,
energy that comes your way. And then you can, creating those boundaries can really help you get attuned to those subtleties a lot more. So I think it's very important. And that's where the personal power is, because you know what you want to engage in and you know what you don't want to engage in. And you take responsibility for your choices, because eating that piece of chocolate or eating the wheat, knowing that you're going to be drained, was it worth eating the bread, whatever it is. So, there's consequences. So, and if I
consequences
want
for
to feel
everything.
right,
Yeah,
and if I want to feel well, I shouldn't be eating this food, because I know how my body reacts to this food. So it's about constantly taking choices and paying attention.
that's it. Paying attention, the awareness. The
Right.
awareness is crucial. And I think that Western culture has gotten better about it, but prior to current times, and still there's people who aren't aware of our subtle bodies and our energetic bodies. And when we come here, we're geared to learn through our emotional body, which is one of our subtle bodies. And we're geared, and that means that one of the things we have to do, since we're learning through emotional bodies, we learn through relationships. So we cannot isolate, because if we isolate, we can't learn, because we're here to learn through our emotional bodies and through relationships. And I think that it's so important to take responsibility for choices and actions, being aware of that and realizing what's yours and what isn't yours. Taking your power back, that, that's your thing. That's not my thing. That's your responsibility. That's not my responsibility. And when you can do that, you get into flow. You get into flow because you just start seeing things very differently.
Right. And you see them for what they are.
You see them
And
for
and
what they
and
are.
and, and a lot of time it has nothing to do with you.
Exactly. You realize that, well, that wasn't about me at all.
Right.
That
Right.
really, I just was in the way.
Right.
I somehow got in there and got in the way and created a problem for me that wasn't my problem, because I misinterpreted what was going on.
Yeah, because everybody brings their own quote baggage with them, so that
Yeah,
the misinterpretation or the misunderstanding creates situation that, and that's why I think we talked about communication with the gold card, and it's so important to be able to communicate exactly what, but you have to know yourself, you have to know your needs in order for you to be able to communicate what you need or what you want. Or so it's really all these cards are really beautiful in the way that they enmesh each other, and they link each other, because one can't happen without the other.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And ultimately the end result is being in flow, which
Being in
then
flow.
brings, I think, for me, being in flow brings in that sense of peace. It
Oh
comes with
yeah.
that.
There's it's sort of like, I'm an emotional breath holder, because I'm
Mm,
always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm always walking on eggshells, and it's like, and then a little exhale.
yeah,
And so when you're in flow, it's just like you go,
right.
and you just get on that beautiful, but you have to, like, I love it when you said you have to know thyself,
Yeah,
and you have to take back your power. You have to understand what's yours and what is not yours. Um, there's so much to being the power. We're so powerful and we don't realize how powerful we are. We've given it away, we've allowed it to be taken away, um, or we're just oblivious to it. I loved this topic, because it made me do a lot of just doing the spread made me think a lot, which is, yeah. And eternal flow, when that card came up, that I remember being, oh, I'm so excited. It's eternal flow. Yay.
And I think for me, part of my experience was asking, why am I reacting this way? That helped
Yeah.
me understand a lot about myself. Like, what is
Mhm.
it in this that I'm responding in the way that I'm responding? Because
Right.
that brought awareness. And then that
Yes.
brought the awareness for me to say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't have to keep going. And then I was able to do the healing or whatever needed to be done so that I could shift that. And a lot of it is it's just distortion, it's just complete
Yes.
distortion or misunderstanding. So
That's absolutely true. Yeah. And all of that is colored by our experiences. And some of our beliefs are so erroneous. It's like, who taught you that? Where did you pick that up? Where did you learn that? Why do you believe that?
right.
I think it's really important to add to your own power, is use the power to ask the what and the why.
Hmm.
And then you have the power to examine it and change it to re-empower.
Right. Right.
And all of that puts you into eternal flow.
All right. So the next card is Shapeshifter. And so let me move these. We're getting to the lower pile. So Shapeshifter, yeah, this is the card here. And it's all in the indigo blue and the moon. And then this is from the native spirit.
Right,
And
by Denise Lynn.
yes.
And I'm
Uh,
looking in
so
the,
let me,
well,
let me,
what is our question?
so the question is, what aspect of myself holds untapped or hidden power? And it's the card meaning here. It says, you can be anything you desire. Let go of attachment to your identity. See the world around you with new eyes. Be malleable. Experiment with different ways of viewing reality. See the point of view of others. If you haven't been able to manifest your dreams, maybe you need to shift the way you see the person or situation. Your native spirit wants you to know. In earth based cultures, shapeshifters had the mystical ability to transform into forms of consciousness. It's said that these beings were not imagining that they were changing into a specific animal, plant, or stone. They could actually form into another shape. Just because most people today don't think this is possible doesn't mean that it's not true. This card chose you because it wants you to know that your past does not equal your future. Simply shifting your point of view or your belief system can bring an entirely new destiny into being. I think this is so powerful because it is about being malleable, becoming that flexible that um, there's not just one way of looking at things. There's just not one way of like I remember my grandmother, we're in the kitchen and she tells me, this is how you do it. And then I had the epiphany, but I'm like, but no, there's other ways to do this. And there might be simpler way because I always talk about myself as I always took the hard way. Like it's never been a straight line. It's always been this ziggity zag kind of line where and it's probably part of my human design too, because I'm trial and error.
I think that when you grow up the way you did, and when you grow up the way a lot of people do, you become like water and you take the path of least resistance. And if you ever watch water flowing downhill, it doesn't go straight. The shortest distance between 2 points in space is a straight line, and it takes you boom right there. But depending on what's going on truly in nature, there's a rock. You can't go straight through the rock. You got to go around the rock. And then there's a dip. So you got to go through the dip. So it becomes the path of least resistance. And it's usually, it's rarely a direct line. It's always meandering and you're here and there and everywhere. And growing up, you don't have the choice to say, I'm going that way, I'm going from here to here, and I'm doing it this way. It's like, no, you're going to do it like your grandma says, this is how you do it. I think one of the most valuable lessons, my dad taught me a lot of valuable lessons. He had a lot of problems, but he was a really wise man. It's probably because he was so sensitive that he had problems. Uh, he was very sensitive. He had told me one time I was working on something and I used it in my classrooms when I was a teacher for 40 years. He'd say, Rosemary, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's not the only way to do that. And he would challenge me to, he'd say, show me two more ways you can get the same result. And he
Mm.
made me think, he made me use my imagination, he made me experiment. And so when I was a teacher, I would ask kids to, okay, so how many of you got this answer? And then I'd say, how'd you get that answer? And most of them got it the standard way. And I'd say, okay, here's a dare, here's a challenge. I want you to find at least one more way to do it that's different from how you did it. And it made them become problem solvers. It made them be more creative. It made them explore. And so it made them shift shapes. It made them shift their thinking. And yeah, I think that it's very empowering to be able to shift and see things in a completely different way and be different than what you thought you were.
Now, and also, I think you empowered them in their creativity and thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
because we're trained to think a certain way or be doormat so that we can follow society's rules and lose some of that aspect, like branding or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you think about it, we are sheeps in the sense of, this is the color this year is going to be for fall season. This is the, excuse me, this is the style that you're going to wear pants because we told you this is what we're telling you to wear. So it's almost like, we are
Consensus
sheeps in some
reality.
ways. Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we
We're
are sheeps in
sheeple.
a lot of
We're
ways.
sheeple. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then
and
the ones that think outside the box and don't follow the flock are the black sheep. I like being a black
that's
sheep.
the why, but they actually it's they've been labeled again,
Yeah, they're being
So,
labeled again, and it's a
so
negative label
right,
because they're different.
right, right.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah, and that's disempowering. Yeah.
exactly. So all these, and I think for me the being able to shape shift and to get out of those labels is really embracing your uniqueness and embracing all your facet and your multidimensionality and that awareness. It's and with that awareness, it gives you that ability to shift
Yeah.
because this then you recognize very quickly that this way is not working, so let me try another way, let me just switch gear and then course correct whatever it is. We don't get laser focus that it's like there's light at the end of the tunnel, but maybe you need to take a different tunnel,
There
you
you
know?
go. Right. Maybe you need to shift.
Right,
Maybe you need to
right.
make the shift.
Yeah,
There's so
so
much power in shifting and shape shifting, and it comes in all forms. Yeah, that's such a great card that came up for that.
and it just reminds me, I love the work of Sandra Ann Taylor and
Oh yeah. She's
she
the one who
went
did the Akashic. She
Akashic.
with her
Yeah.
sister did the Akashic deck.
Yeah, and one of the meditation that I used to listen to is if you're brought into a situation where you have several doors and then there's different light that comes through the bottom of the door, and then you can pick whichever door you want. But it to me it's kind of like the symbolism of that is that, you're standing here and you have all these options and all these doors can be open, and you don't necessarily need to just um what's the word, that commit to one door. You can see, you can, through meditation, you can also see the envisioning behind the door, what's awaiting you there, and then see if it fits. And then if it doesn't, then to me that's the whether you become malleable is you look at a different option. I don't know why this showed up, but that's like I had the visual of all these doors opening, that you can walk through. They're all closed doors, but you can walk through each of the door and then find something different. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then to me it's kind of like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then I have my portions.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And
Maybe I
all of
went
that is so empowering.
maybe I went a little off topic here, but just I don't know why it just
Well, the
showed up.
stuff that we talk about is the kind of thing that takes you on a journey.
Yes.
And so you take the detours. You take the
Yeah.
detours.
One time I had the epiphany that, they talk about climbing the mountain. I'm like, no, wait a minute. I don't have to climb a mountain. I can just go around the mountain.
Go.
And I have to make it harder
Or
than
I
it
can go
is.
through the mountain because I can shapeshift and I can go right through the mountain.
Yeah, I have that invisible cloak, that I'm just going through it.
Yeah. Why not?
Hey, yeah, some people say they can, so it's
Why
about the
not?
belief system that we hold, right? What is what my one of my favorite question is what else is possible?
You
You
know
know,
what? Everything is possible.
exactly.
We're the only ones, we're the ones who limit ourselves by what we believe, what we think we know, but we really know so little. Oh my God.
But I love asking the question. uh, there may be a belief that everything is possible, but maybe I'm not at the point of believing that everything is possible. So for me, the what else is possible brings that openness with it.
Yes, what else
So
is possible?
and then it
This
just
isn't all there is. So, what is there besides this? Yeah, exactly.
all right for day seven. So the question is, what bold and power step am I ready to take next?
So, this is from one of Denise Lynn's decks. This is her gateway deck.
And the card is believing in magic.
Believing in magic. Yeah.
That kind of that kind of led well with the what else is possible.
What else is possible? True magic is abounding in my life, is what the card says down at the bottom. That's the tagline. Yeah, believing in magic. And you know what? When we understand that we are powerful, we step into our magic. We are magic. Amazing.
Do you want
I'm
me
going
to
to
read
have you
it
read this
or
because I
okay?
have the wrong glasses for it. It's on
Okay.
page, the reading is her her card reading is page 7.
Okay. So believing in magic. The magic is abounding in my life. Card meaning. It is indeed a magical universe. Spiritual dimensions and mystical realms are only a thought away. The key to opening these doors is to trust in something you cannot see or hear. You can have doubts, yet still believe in a vast and mysterious universe where signs, symbols, and coincidences reveal secret messages. Even if your faith is the size of a mustard seed, magic can abound. Believe. The universe wants you to know some things are true even if you don't believe them. It's hard to comprehend how something as heavy as a jumbo jet can fly, but it does. When you make an overseas call, it's hard to believe that your voice travels into space and bounces back, but it does. And it's sometimes hard to believe that angels are looking over us, but they are. Here's to believing in magic.
I love her cards.
Mhm. Yeah.
She's so authentic. So how empowering is that? I mean, just to come to that realization that there is magic and we are magic. The fact that we're here is magic. And that we have our own personal form of magic, which is part of our personal power. I think that's spectacular. And I love the idea of magic anyway.
But it's almost like as we know ourselves to be multidimensional, it's then you realize that it's not even magic. It's the
No, it's
norm.
reality.
It's
It's
it's the norm.
reality.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
the norm.
so it's really about you knowing and expanding into that understanding that you have all this power, you have all the resources that you can tap into. You can have conversations, with the ascended masters. You can we're limitless, in everything that we can tap into or do or create, and the magic is in the co-creation. So
Right.
so it's really I love the flow of cards that we've had here because it's really about um creating the boundaries. To me, help me preserve my energy, and they help me define where I want to be, who I want to be with. I have a choice to do this or I have a choice to do that. Do I want to engage? Do I don't? Where is my energy better spent?
Yeah.
And from that, then I get to learn more about myself as I move out all those distractions. Then it
Right.
gives me time to really go inward and listen and pay attention and and listen to the subtle bodies. So all of this is just that's the magic, it's just
That's the
paying
magic of it, the
attention.
way it all comes together. Yeah.
So I hope we had a powerful reading for you, and we invite you to come to the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle, join us on their Facebook group, and we introduce a topic each Sunday. We have lots of informations and a lot of insights and inspiration that we share through the group. So you're welcome to join us there. And like we said, every Sunday we drop a weekly spread. We start out with a new topic. This week we are exploring um,
The
what are
one
you,
that's coming,
what the
let's
one
say,
that we're doing. Do you remember?
the one that we're doing this week, I'm working on right now, the one that's
Yes.
coming up is honoring,
Okay.
honoring.
So we've done several. We've done a spread on boundaries. We've done a spread on self-love and all of that. So, go back and look at all the questions. You can use also the questions to draw your own readings. So, the whole
Or
point is to
as meditation topics or
that
journal
exactly,
prompts. Hmm.
exactly. And then we have, if you're interested in going deeper, delving deeper, we're not about superficial. We're not, we're about deep, going deep. So we have several spreads that we've been working on. We have collections. One of them is working with the 45 points of the meridian. One of them is about uh, the 26 points of the spine, looking at making that connection with the innate intelligence of your body. So it's about you learning how to listen to your body and what messages it may have for you. So those are ways for you to build that relationship with your body. And then the new human is about, the higher consciousness, creating those, embracing the depth of who you are. It's about reading greeting you on a multidimensional level. So those are available on our website. And we have an Oracle Circle that we offer every month. And you're welcome to join us there. And we have a Patreon community that we've developed that we are developing each month. We create a activity guide, and this month we're going to be exploring the topic of independence, codependence, and interdependence, how they play out in relationships. I think that's really an interesting topic to peruse, and looking at the relationship between the doctor and the patient, the mother and the child, and looking at, how all these play out, and or teacher and student, different phase, different life phases brings different relationships, but it's all about creating that awareness and where we are. And if you need to reach us for private sessions, readings, these are our emails. So we hope that this reading was supportive, and we will see you next month
Yeah, we'll see you
with a
next
different
month.
with a different topic. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Rosie, for your wisdom, your wits, your love, your everything. I appreciate
Well,
you.
right back to you, right back at you.
Thank you, Rosie. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.